Buying a car in Carvana was so easy. I was able to finance it through them.
Whoa, wait, you mean finance?
Yeah, finance. Got pre-qualified for a Carvana auto loan, entered my terms, and shot from thousands of great car options all within my budget.
That's cool that financing through Carvana was so easy.
Financed. Done. And I get to pick up my car from their Carvana vending machine tomorrow.
Financed.
Right, that's what I said.
You can spend time trying to pronounce financing, or you can actually finance and buy your car today on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
Looking for these better days.
It is Football Friday, September 26th, Part 2. This is our college football episode. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Better Day, presented by FanDuel. Joining me to talk some college football, you catch him with me on the BetUS TV College Football Show each and every week. He is Kyle Hunter. Kyle, thanks so much for hopping on here. You're making your debut performance here, your debut guest spot on Better Day. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to it. Man, we have some great games this weekend.
Yeah, this is an unbelievable weekend of college football. I feel bad for anybody that has to do anything on Saturday or Saturday night because they're not going to be able to watch these games. But let's talk about the big top 25 games. And we're not going to touch on the two games for tonight because even though we're releasing this episode here on Friday, by the time some people listen to it, the games might have already started and you might not have enough time to get your bets in. You can check out Kyle on social, and I'm sure he's going to have some stuff here for these games. So we'll talk about we're not going to get into Florida State, Virginia, and TCU and Arizona State. So we'll start with Saturday's action and going to go in chronological order here, and we'll start with number 22 Notre Dame at Arkansas. And this is an interesting game because the Irish, defensively, Kyle, they're a mess. And Marcus Freeman comes out and he says, well, listen, I know that we have issues on defense, but I'm not going to take over the defensive play calling. Like, no, I trust in Chris Ash. I trust what's going on here. I don't know if us bettors should trust what's going on here. Notre Dame is a 4.5-point road favorite, total of 63.5. What's your take on this Irish team right now?
I mean, the defenses look shockingly bad. I didn't think they could be this bad. I knew Ash could be a downgrade from Golden, but I didn't think it would show up this quickly, especially in the secondary. I mean, this secondary has been top-notch year after year after year, and here they're 123rd out of 136 teams in the country in explosiveness allowed in the passing game, 130th in passing PPA allowed. And Taylor Green's been able to throw the ball around this year. It's really impressed me how well Arkansas has moved it through the air. They didn't have big name wide receivers or as good a tight ends as sometimes they've had, but they've been able to throw it around. I think the threat of Taylor Green being able to run and some decent running backs there as well has really helped them be able to move it. Now Arkansas on the other side, their defense is really bad as well. They're 132nd in rushing play success rate allowed. Notre Dame's going to put up a lot of points in this game too. And I think CJ Carr has been really good, especially these last couple games. He does look like he's going to be a very good quarterback for the Irish. I think this is a back and forth type game. The only way I can bet this is over the total. To me, the side is a little bit tricky because Arkansas coming off that heartbreaking loss. Is this a circle the wagons type spot? Notre Dame, we know the defense has been really poor. I think the offense is very good. And, I mean, those two running backs are going to have a field day here. So I like the over.
Yeah, I mean, the reason it's a monster total for a reason, 63.5. Let me ask you, if we are to believe that this Notre Dame defense is this poor, could we isolate Arkansas going over their team total?
Yeah, I like the Arkansas team total over. I also like the game over. So plenty of exposure here to overs in this one because I think Arkansas's pace is going to allow them to have plenty of possessions in a game like this. And frankly, even if Notre Dame doesn't play too fast, I think they're going to break some big runs. So I think we'll get plenty of chances for both teams to have the football. And I like Taylor Green to complete a couple of those really big plays. And even if Notre Dame would get a lead, Arkansas in comeback mode, I think they'd be scoring there too. So yeah, I like the Razorbacks over the team total quite a bit.
Over 29.5 right now up on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Big noon kickoff is going to feature number 21 USC against number 23 Illinois in Champaign. And this is a 9 a.m. body clock game for USC. We talk all the time about the struggles that Big Ten teams have traveling across multiple time zones. The data that I have here going back the past couple of seasons is 8-18 in conference play. And that's since they expanded to the, bi-coastal conference here. 8-20 overall straight up for Big Ten teams traveling multiple time zones. But we did see USC go get a victory at Purdue. They didn't cover earlier this season, but they did get a win. And now they are 6.5-point road favorites here against Illinois.
Man, what an interesting spot, because, if USC hadn't played so well and Illinois hadn't played so poorly, I was thinking I might want to bet USC at a small number laying. Well, here we get 6.5 for a touchdown. This has really kind of ruined the spot for me. I thought, I'd want to back a USC team that's more talented than is Illinois. But, I mean, if Bielema is even a decent coach, this is a great circle the wagon spot for them. They looked so bad last week. Now, their injuries concern me, especially on the defense. I think USC is very good offensively. Jaden Maeva, I know some people say, well, let's see when they play a real defense. Yeah. Well, Illinois hasn't been great defensively, and I think USC will score quite a bit on everybody this season. I don't know what to bet on a side here, Scott. I mean, am I supposed to fade the USC team going east with that angle, or am I supposed to go against Illinois, really banged up, 125th in pass play success rate allowed, secondary just getting picked on in a big way? I don't know. I think I lean the over in this game too. Situationally, after that kind of shellacking, this should be a good spot for Illinois. I think USC is the better and more talented team, so I'm going to stay away from the side and just lean toward an over. This is not a bet I made.
Yeah, I was initially on Illinois. I just don't know. Maybe it is a stay away spot here with everything that you just mentioned. Okay, let's go to the 3:30 Eastern time window because we have another great schedule of games. What a Saturday. What an incredible Saturday. I wish all these games were not on the same day, but it is what it is. Number 1, Ohio State travels. This is the, multiple time zones here. Travels to Washington to take on the Huskies, where Washington has the second longest home winning streak in the country, 21 straight games. Now, this is a case where, as we remind the audience all the time, make sure you line shop to get the best of the number that you can. And I think the best of the number right now is right here up on FanDuel, because it is 8.5. And I will gladly take the 8.5 points with Washington, because in college football, 8.5 is a very key number, because when you get into overtime, in the second overtime, teams have to go for 2. And I know that we're threading the needle here, but, there's a chance the team could, go for the gut punch maybe in the first overtime or whatever. And we just know analytics come into play anyway, so teams do go for 2 more. There's chances for 8-point victories and 8-point losses. Right? We see the new age of analytics even in the NFL, right? Teams are down 14. You go for 2 when you score the first touchdown, right? So that maybe you wind up losing the game by 8. It happens. And then I do think it is important to note the overtime rules. Yes, I know in the third overtime it's just a 2-point conversion contest. But in the second overtime, you have to go for 2. So I like getting plus 8.5 with a dog that I think is live in a game. I'm gladly going to take the 8.5 here with Washington.
Yeah, I mean, I think the number is super important in a game like this, and you're right. I mean, it's also a game that could finish 28-20 with a couple field goals,
Yep.
2 touchdowns, a couple field goals, something like that. It wouldn't be shocking. If you like Ohio State, there's 7.5s out there. If you like Washington, there's 8.5s. There's no excuse to be getting a really bad number in a spot like this, because there are plenty of different numbers out there. Ohio State, first road game. I think this is a really big test. Washington gets really loud. This is a long trip. I like the season win total over on Washington. I still like that. I think Washington's a very good team. Williams is fantastic at quarterback, electric. I know the coach said he's the fastest player on the offense. I mean, that's pretty dangerous if he's the fastest player on the offense, because they have some speed burners in general. Is it going to be shocking here if Washington breaks a huge run with Williams? I don't think so. And I think Coleman, he just wears down defenses. Really good. At yards after contact. I think they'll be able to run the football some here. Ohio State has really not been tested by a great rushing attack so far this year. Offensively, I think Ohio State will move the ball relatively well against a Washington secondary that's not elite, 81st in passing PPA allowed. can Ohio State hit those big hitters down the field? They haven't really tried them so far this year, was saying. They probably need to open it up a little bit more here. Washington's run game second and rushing grade at PFF. I think they'll give Ohio State some trouble. I kind of think Ohio State will win, but I don't like Ohio State to cover here. So I think the 8.5 is the way I would look too.
Yeah, it's the best of the number. And again, when I'm getting that, I'm definitely going to jump on it right now. Another game that I'm all over here is Ole Miss hosting LSU. Number 13 Ole Miss, number 4 LSU, and we do have confirmation Trinidad Chambliss is starting at quarterback once again for Ole Miss, and I think that's the right move. Kyle, the kids look great. I mean, everyone's asking me about dark horse Heisman candidates because I agree that this is the most wide open Heisman race we have, certainly with John Mateer going down. And I think why not put a 50-1 ticket in on Trinidad Chambliss? In 2 starts for Ole Miss, all the kid's done is put up 719 passing yards with 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's also rushed for 195 yards and 2 scores. We know Ole Miss has an offense that thrives on getting chunk plays down the field. 31 plays this season of at least 30 yards on offense. I'm a big fan of this Ole Miss team. I know Lane Kiffin told everyone to take the over. I don't know necessarily if I'm going to believe him on that. I will believe him, though, with Ole Miss scoring points. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to lay it with Ole Miss. You can do the money line if you want. It's a minus 1.5 point spread. You want to ignore that, it's fine. The minus 120 or so on the money line. Give me Ole Miss to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, look, Scott, I've heard some in the media be like, Trinidad Chambliss has been a really great backup. He's a really great starter. I mean, this guy's just not been a good backup. He's just really good in general. I mean, this guy's fantastic. And, I mean, it wasn't really that Simmons was bad. It's just that Chambliss has been amazing. He's fantastic. 88.6 PFF grade. LSU's defense is certainly a big test, no doubt about that. They're 15th in explosiveness allowed. The secondary has been much better. I love Garrett Nussmeier, really good quarterback. Too many drops from his wide receivers. I think some people have been taking some cues from Lane Kiffin, Scott, because here we see 54.5 total from earlier in the week is up to 56.5. Yep. It's not going to shock me if this goes to 57.5 or 58. When he said take the over, I probably should have bet a little bit on the over just to be able to middle it back at some point. Take the chance on this one falling 55, 56, some common numbers. But I didn't bet that. I would lean Mississippi here in this game, especially with Chambliss there. Chambliss just looks like the more explosive quarterback that's made great decisions. And, LSU's defense has been great, but they haven't seen a quarterback like Chambliss yet.
I agree, and with the LSU defense is that they're just not creating enough negative plays. And I know Ole Miss doesn't do that either, but that's not Ole Miss's game plan. Like LSU, the reason people would say that LSU wins this game is because of their defense. Well, if your defense is going to allow chunk plays, you're not going to create negative plays. I just don't see how you win here on the road. So, yeah, give me Ole Miss to win this football game. Our next big matchup here is Auburn at number 9, Texas A&M. I laid it here with the Aggies. I've been thoroughly impressed with what I have seen from Texas A&M. Am I falling into a trap here of a recency bias with the win over Notre Dame? Like if they lost to Notre Dame, would I feel differently about this team? I don't know, because I think I've seen enough from Marcel Reed. I think I've seen enough from this Texas A&M team to feel really good about them in a spot where we know it's a tremendous home field there at College Station. I think even if that game didn't go their way and they lost to Notre Dame last week, I'd prefer that, because maybe I'm laying only 4.5 in this game or something like that. But I think I'd still be on A&M.
Yeah, I mean, for me in this one, the question is, coming off that win, are they going to be, feeling too good about themselves to lay the points here? But the fact that they had a bye week is a big plus here.
Good point.
Elko gets them to think about this game for a long time. And I mean, we talked about this on the Bet US show earlier in the week, but Auburn beat them in 4 overtimes last year. They ought to remember this game.
Yeah.
43-41 and 4 overtimes. I don't think this is the type of opponent that you overlook. And Auburn on the other side, I don't think Auburn's a bad team. I just think that this is a really bad spot for them. Tough situationally. They really played pretty well against Oklahoma last week. fought all the way to the finish, had some unfortunate breaks probably in that one. I think that it's hard to have that good of an effort twice in a row. Kyle Field's a great place to play, good home field advantage. I like that A&M has finished their possessions in the red zone, 9 touchdowns and 10 trips into the red zone.
Yep.
And A&M 9th in special teams grade at PFF, Auburn 107. I think that can be overlooked. I mean, in a game like this that, less than touchdown spread, I think that could matter quite a bit. Maybe this is the game where we see, a blocked punt, a blocked field goal, something like that changes who covers in this one. In Auburn, the win at Baylor was a nice one, but Baylor doesn't look like they're a great team. I think Texas A&M with Reed playing very well has the higher upside, so I'll lay the points here too.
Love it.
Buying a car in Carvana was so easy. I was able to finance it through them.
Whoa, wait, you mean finance?
Yeah, finance. Got pre-qualified for a Carvana auto loan, entered my terms, and shot from thousands of great car options, all within my budget.
That's cool, but financing through Carvana was so easy.
Financed. Done. And I get to pick up my car from their Carvana vending machine tomorrow.
Financed.
Right, that's what I said.
You can spend time trying to pronounce financing, or you can actually finance and buy your car today on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
Let's stay in the SEC. We'll go to the next window of games here. Number 15, Tennessee is at Mississippi State. Can they do it again there in Stark Vegas? I actually think they can. We've seen Mississippi State pull the upsets here. We know this environment is going to be incredible. The one hesitation I do have is that Mississippi State is the second most penalized team in the country. 41 penalties for 356 yards. When you are trying to pull an upset over a top-ranked opponent at home, you can't give them extended possessions, and you can't put yourself behind the 8 ball. So that, to me, would be the one concern that I have over Mississippi State. But, after the upset win over Arizona State, to reel off 2 convincing wins against, albeit subpar performances, but I feel like this team is playing with a ton of confidence right now in an environment that will be raucous. And the one thing that you do have to like as far as a scheduling spot is that this team has been home forever, right? They were away the first game of the season, and that's it. They have stayed home here. Meanwhile, we had Tennessee play the home game against Georgia, and now this is their first road trip of the season. So that's another angle. How do we handicap that? First road trip of the season for them. Meanwhile, we have a team in Mississippi State that has been home now for a month.
Yeah, and I mean, Tennessee played that game against Syracuse, which is technically was a neutral site game, but that was a home game for them based on what the crowd was like in that one. Tennessee blowout win against UAB. I mean, I think they did what they were supposed to do in a game like this, but now they go to Stark Vegas later in the day. I think this is going to be a wild setup. Mississippi State didn't have quite the home field advantage in some of the most recent years, but I think that was because the team wasn't near as good. I think the fan base will be really fired up for a game like this. Tennessee comes in having played good football this year. This is a real good chance for their team in Mississippi State to put themselves on the map. Both these teams are top 10 in tempo. A lot of possessions. I could definitely see an over in this game, seeing quick scores from both teams. I do like Mississippi State, though. I think Mississippi State's been much more balanced on offense than I expected. 28th best in the country in PPA per pass, 24th best per rush. Tennessee really not that good defensively. 120th in stuff rate, 98th in rushing play success rate allowed. I like Blake Shapen. I think he's a pretty good quarterback. Not that he's some superstar or anything, but he does a good job. And Joey Aguilar, to me, he's a little bit overvalued in the Heisman race at this point. I think that Aguilar has to prove it on the road against a quality team, and they're going to play plenty of good teams coming up. I saw Aguilar throw way too many interceptions in key spots at App State. Has he completely fixed that? I want him to prove it to me. If he goes out and plays amazing here, then maybe I'll change my tune a little bit because I think this is a tough spot for him. But, him being tested with the cowbells, a good defense. We remember the game where he went to Louisiana and just completely melted down. There were multiple spots like that when he was at App State. Tennessee has given up a bunch of touchdowns in the red zone. 77% of opponents' drives into the red zone a touchdown. Mississippi State scored a touchdown on 81% of their trips into the red zone. I'm going to take the points here. I'm also going to bet some on the money line as well, thinking that Mississippi State does have a chance to win this one.
All right. Yeah, I'm on it. I took the 7.5. It could. I like that little money line sprinkle. We're never going to turn that away right now. Up on FanDuel plus 225. If you're intrigued by the money line sprinkle. Okay, let's get to the primetime games where I'm so upset that both these games are on at the same time. Maybe I'm more upset that I work Saturday evening. So, but I will be able to catch pretty much the majority of these games because my show on VSiN coming up here tomorrow night is going to be at 7 o'clock Pacific. So I'll be on the air during the end of this game. So if you guys want to tune in, you can catch me on VSiN, Sirius XM 158, or on YouTube TV, however you watch. And I'll be with you during the conclusion of these games, maybe some good live betting opportunities that we'll have for Oregon, Penn State, and Alabama, Georgia. Let's start with the Big Ten game here. Number 6, Oregon. Number 3, Penn State. It's a whiteout. Penn State is a 3.5-point favorite right now up on FanDuel. When we talked about this earlier this week, Kyle, on the BetUS TV show, I took the 3.5 with Oregon. And my reasoning was I think this comes down to who has the football last. Like, I think these teams are two of the best teams in the country, if not maybe the two best teams in the country. And it's not so much about fading James Franklin, although that certainly is an angle here, right? He hasn't gotten the job done against top 10 opponents. I just think that in a game where I think it comes down to a field goal, who has the football last, I'm happy to take the 3.5. I know the game doesn't land on 3 the majority of the time. I get it, but it's still a key number, and it's still a game where I wouldn't be surprised if either team comes away with a victory.
Oh, yeah. 3 is still a super important number. And, it's easy for people to say, well, the game doesn't land on that most of the time, or, look, the score is usually not that. But when you don't get that hook and you're sitting there and everybody else got the hook and, it came down to that half a point, you're going to really be blaming yourself. You got to get the best of the number, like we've said. So many people are like, well, the numbers, the juice only matters if you lose. The number's not going to matter most of the time. We know long-term in this that you got to be really, really good with your bankroll management. You got to be really smart about the numbers that you take, the numbers that you get. It's important to get a 3 in the hook in a game like this because this game is an overtime type game. It certainly could go into overtime. It'd be fun as a fan for this to go into overtime, get a little extra football in a game like this. Fantastic environment for college football at Penn State with these night games. This will be a lot of fun. This would be a great game to attend in person for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Penn State has really not beaten down the teams that they played so far this year as bad as I would have expected. I know they've won soundly, no doubt, but James Franklin teams usually beat those teams by 60 points. They've kind of, I don't know if they're bluffing a bit or kind of holding things back, not using the best of the plays. Drew Aller, 1 big-time throw, 2 turnover-worthy plays, definitely underperforming my expectations so far this year. I mean, I'll be honest, Scott, I think this is a really big game for Drew Aller because everybody keeps saying he's going to be like the top quarterback taken in the NFL draft, and they keep talking him up. He's got to prove it in a big game, and this is a good game to do it here against an Oregon defense that's solid. Maybe not the very best defense, but certainly a good defense. And then on the other side, this is a massive game for Dante Moore, too, who's been fantastic. 89.1 PFF grade against weak defenses. So we'll see what he can do against a good Penn State defense with some pressure on him. I haven't bet this game, and I don't think I will. I want to watch it more than I want to bet it. But if I were forced to bet this game, I would take the 3.5 points with Oregon. I know you said that it wouldn't be the sole reason you'd place a bet, but we have seen too many times that Franklin has lost this big game. If he goes out and proves it in a game like this, you tip your cap and you say, I'll look for the next one. But, two teams that look pretty even. I know Penn State has a great home field advantage. Dan Lanning's played his teams pretty well in the big games. Franklin really hasn't. I would lean toward the points here.
Yeah, I brought up the comparison, and I know it's different teams, it's different players, but we have seen Dan Lanning and Oregon play in these big time matchups before. Last year, they go to Ohio State, right, and they play that game. They lose by one, or it was a 1 point game. And then 2 years ago, the game against Washington, right, when it was Michael Penix and Bo Nix. Now we know both of these quarterbacks are not Michael Penix and Bo Nix, but that was still an incredible back and forth, big time matchup here. It was a 3 point game, and I know they won at home against Ohio State last year, 32-31. But it was still a big time matchup against the number 2 team in the nation last year. And then 2 years ago, that was the game against at number 7 Washington. So he's been in these big games before, and they've all come down to the wire. So I'm happy taking the 3.5 here with Oregon against Penn State. And the question I'll ask you is will we see these two teams play again this year? Whether it's the Big Ten championship game, rematch of last year, or college football playoff?
I think I'd probably bet yes that we'll see these two teams play again. Whether they'll play 2 more times would be hard to bet yes, but certainly possible. I think I'd bet yes they'll see each other again because I think both of these teams will make a good run this season.
Yeah, they're both going to be in the playoff. I remember before the season started, and I was asking people on all my shows, I set the line myself because there was no bet out there, but I said over under 3.5 Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. And I said, I'm gonna give you the 3 teams. It's Ohio State, it's Penn State, and Oregon. But who's the fourth? Is there a fourth team? Like I'm gonna set the line at 3.5. Are you taking over or under? And the majority of people that I spoke to said they would take the over. That they would say a fourth team would get in, whether it was going to be Indiana or Illinois. I had somebody tell me Nebraska. I told them they were crazy. But yeah, I think we could get a fourth team in. Obviously, Indiana has the leg up now to repeat as a college football playoff. What's the word I'm looking for? Combatant. They're not. It wouldn't be a debutante because they made it last year. Well, a participant. There you go. That's the way we'll refer to them. Okay, let's talk about the other big game of the night where it just means more. Between the hedges, number 17, Alabama, number 5, Georgia. Again, a spot where look for the best of the number because up at FanDuel right now, Georgia is a 2.5 point favorite. So you can get 2.5 if you want to lay it with Georgia. You can still find maybe some 3s if you want to take the points with Alabama. This total has been bet up now to 53.5. Georgia, the longest home winning streak in the country, 33 straight games at Sanford Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to bet against 33 straight games. These two are the top 2 teams in the 24/7 team talent composite, so all kinds of talent on the field. Like you, I'm kind of bummed that they're playing exactly the same time as Oregon Penn State. Of course, I'll be watching both games, but be nice to focus in on one a little bit more than I'll be able to in this one. Georgia's defense looked shaky against the Tennessee pass attack. Certainly gave up a lot of those deep passes where they kind of just put it up for grabs. I was a little disappointed with the Bulldogs secondary in that one. This is still a Georgia defense that's very good. They're a tick down from what they've been some of the other years, but I mean, we know how good they've been the other years, so yeah. Still a good team. Defensively, Alabama with a really bad first game, but Ty Simpson 41 for 46 passing in the last 2 games. Even it being Monroe and Wisconsin, that kind of play definitely encourages me. Stockton has concerned me a little with only a 5.5 yards average depth of target. He's got to throw the ball downfield a little bit. I think he has to in this game for them to be able to win. Georgia's just 133rd in explosiveness on offense, 14th in success rate on offense. Alabama's covered 4 the last 5 times these two have played. Scott, I don't know what to do on a side. What am I supposed to do? I mean, I can't go against Georgia here.
I know.
2.5, I might lean Georgia. 3, I might lean Bama. So that this is where numbers are super important. I like the over, I think, the best of anything. Just where, 6 straight times these two have played, it's gotten to 51 points. Now, I know before somebody says 51 is actually under this total, I know that's most of them have gone higher than that. I'm just saying they have a pretty low, pretty high floor there for how these have gone because the offenses have had success before. And I feel like these defenses aren't quite as good as they've been in some of those other years. So, I think this one getting to the upper 50s makes the most sense to me. That's my favorite bet in this game, is to take the over.
Yeah, I'm on the over as well, and I'm in on Georgia, especially now at the -2.5. I'm going to bet on the home team here to come away with a win, and we've seen Kalen DeBoer struggle on the road here with the as the head coach of Alabama, so maybe something is, to that trend. Kyle, appreciate it, man. This was great stuff. Why don't you tell the audience where they can find you, both on social media, website, all that stuff?
Yeah, you can find me at huntersportspicks.com. My X is at Kyle Hunter Picks. You can find both of us on the Bet US College Football Show on Tuesdays and Wednesdays with Josh Duck. So that's always fun. We have a great time over there. So give me a follow, check out the website, and thanks for having me on here today, Scott.
Well, we appreciate you. This is going to be the first of many, not the first and only. So I do appreciate the time. Again, check out Kyle's website, check out Kyle on social media, and make sure you check out our website, betterday.com. Subscribe to our daily newsletter. You'll get it in your email inbox every single morning. And here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.